Okay, let's rock it. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Storytime. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are here today with someone that literally just landed from Joburg, Samurai Farai. Brother, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
Your governmental name,
Yeah.
not your Instagram name,
Yeah.
Farai Engelbrecht.
Correct.
Nailed it.
Very good.
Nailed it. Thank you for being here, firstly. This is sick.
Yeah, man.
As I said to you, Stance were actually the brand that sent me your profile for the first time at the beginning of the year.
Shout out Stance.
Thank you, Stance. And they're also the sponsor of this episode, so we have a gift for you that I'll give to you right now. That is like, dude, you challenging everything, which is why immediately I messaged Stance back and I was like, we have to have you on. It has to be with Stance, because obviously Stance are massively supportive of art and culture and music, and so they were just a great brand to tie in. So I wrote a little write-up for you. Tell me if there's anything I missed, right? You're an independent contemporary artist from South Africa, molded by the culture and dynamics of this complex space, as well as his dual heritage of Zimbabwean and Afrikaans descent. His perspective bears a refreshing and unique Afrocentric perspective.
Yeah.
He's an artist, curator, gallery founder, and art dealer as well. A large facet of your work surrounds mental health, identity, and the multiple versions of self that one human can possess. His art uses bright, bold, and courageous color and the use of line to communicate an optimistic hope and intrigue into the future identity of Africa.
Yeah, that's it. Nailed it. Sounds
dope.
brilliant.
There we go.
I want to know that guy.
You're like, who's this homie?
Yeah,
you need to
I wanna
meet that
know- I
dude.
want to know that guy.
Sick, man. So obviously we've been chatting a lot in
Yeah.
the car on the way here, and you were telling us some insane stories of your life and how these different moments and times in your life have led to what your art is now.
For sure.
Want to start with, you're obviously based out of Joburg, studied in Cape Town at UCT.
Yeah.
What was the choice of going into art? I had a dream last night. This is going to sound really strange.
That's okay, bro.
I had a dream last night and I woke up this morning with it, and Jess asked me on the way to fetch from the airport,
Yeah.
did I write down exact questions? And I said no.
Dope.
But I had a dream where the thought of the dream, and I woke up this morning with it and it was repeating in my head, was, how does someone self-identify what their image, design, brand, and energy is that they're giving to the world? And that ties me into the question of choosing UCT, deciding to become an artist. What was it that made you choose that? How were you so aware of the fact that you would be able to do this?
It's a great question, first and foremost. But I think we all, and when I say we all, I kind of use this universally for like all people who become artists. We're just very lost. You know, we have this little ability or this little talent from a very young age, like myself. So you start drawing at 5, 6, and it never leaves you, you know. And the problem that I try to address in my career is that we don't give enough attention to that little spark of light in young kids, in the youth, right? So for me, art was just always around me, you know, whether I was drawing like Goku and Vegeta or like Pokemon, bro, like we all used to do it, you know. It was so reminiscent and nostalgic now. But then it was the normal thing, you know, get a Tazo, see the Tazo and copy the Tazo, who does it the best. And I was very blessed to have an uncle who was a painter. So whenever I was like visiting my dad, he was around. We'd go to galleries and showcases, and like one of my earliest memories is like us tying a fucking massive canvas to the bonnet of the car and going to take it to an exhibition, you know.
Wow.
I must have been like 7 years old. So for me, art was always just hovering around me. I had a stepmother who was a very famous actress. My father was very friendly with like famous musicians. So just culture was always, it was just normal, you know. How I got into UCT was pretty much just like destiny, you know, like not to be weird about it, but I applied late. Only like the day of writing my last matric exam, which was art, did I like find this random art school called Michaela's. I didn't even know it was like UCT School of Fine Art. I called my mom like 20 minutes before going into the exam, like, Mom, just have a look, see what we need, blah, blah, blah. Killed the exam, came out, she's like, yo, we're 2 days late. Let's send them your portfolio.
Oh, wow.
Sent it 2 days late. Funny story, but since it's story time,
there you go.
The lovely lady working at the postnet that we used was like one of my best friend's mothers, and my mom came and like brought my portfolio there and was like, oh my goodness, please can you send this portfolio to Cape Town in a rush? And then she reads the name, she's like, Farai Engelbrecht, is that your son? She's like, yeah. And then they hadn't met. She
That's
knew me because
cool.
I spent a Christmas with the daughter who was my best friend at the time, and then she was like, of course, anything for him. Got my portfolio
Sweet,
there.
man.
They offered me a full bursary to study fine art, and bro, 2 weeks from that day, I was in Cape Town, and like now I'm studying or like away from home, doing this career path or choice that honestly I don't know a single lick about. I don't know anybody else studying fine art. None of my friends are like talking about doing a career in something cultural. So it was just like the last option, you know. I applied for law, I applied for psychology, I applied for architecture. Denied. So when I got a full bursary to study fine art, which was always a passion, I would say more art history than like the practical side of things. I love the history of art. I was like, okay, this is it. Let me go see what it is. But getting there and kind of the experience of it was completely different to what I'd ever imagined. You know, I got there, and to be quite frank, it was like a bunch of robots who just wanted to take orders as better than anybody else. And I've always been a against the grain kind of guy. You know, if especially you're asking me to do art is supposed to be controversial, it's supposed to challenge you, it's supposed to challenge the way you think, the way you feel. And if we're not doing that, then surely we're not being true to ourselves. And literally from the moment I stepped into the campus, I felt that I was going to be that guy. And I was.
And how long did it take you to find your style, your language, if I can call it that? Like, was it something that was instantaneous for you, that you were constantly beating at?
No, bro, it was a
trial and error.
Yeah, because a lot of the work that you're forced to make while studying it is very academic. It's very like conceptual, and it's for a grading, it's for a marking. You have to like tick the boxes. There's no space for self-expression or authenticity in any shape, way or form. So to figure out your language it will never happen while studying it. So I guess up until like what I showcased in my graduation show isn't what I do now. You know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I would say from, let's say, 18 to about 25. When I was like 25, 26, I was like, okay, I've got a thing.
Found it.
I've got a thing that, but
Okay.
I've also been tweaking and trying and playing and experimenting, but also being patient.
Yeah.
You know, I went from like loving to do charcoal, then not drawing, and then doing printmaking, and then painting with printmaking ink, and then like the alphabet thing, and then I was like, I just want to do collage, and then I'm doing collage for a bit, and then I'm like, I don't like this. I want to like be expressive. I want to use color. So now I'm a painter. I'm a successful painter that never studied painting.
That's dope though, right?
Yeah, it's really
How
nice.
sick is that?
Yeah, bro. It's been such a beautiful journey, and
Yeah.
still is. You
Yeah.
know, I think to really answer your question, I'm still finding my thing, and that's the beauty of it. I don't think it's a destination. I think you constantly move, you constantly grow. People have known me for doing one specific thing, but sometimes I'm like, I can do that with my
Do
eyes
something
closed.
different.
Let
Yeah.
me do something. Yeah, bro, and that's to me what being a creative is. It's not being stuck in one box, but not letting yourself be stuck in the box. Especially if you become successful from that one box. What's to say, or what's stopping you from jumping out and finding something different? You know? So I'm always on that mental thing, that mental train.
Yeah.
It's
There was a clip that I watched of a stand-up comedian doing a bit on heavy metal, which I know sounds so irrelevant to
Yeah,
this
I love the
conversation,
way it
but I
started.
swear it's coming
Yeah,
back.
I love it.
I'm a big heavy metal fan, and he was doing this great bit on heavy metal about how people complain about heavy metal, that it's angry, you know, like, and he goes, yeah, because at the time that they made and wrote the song, they were angry.
Yeah.
And he does this great, I wish I could remember his name, but he does this great flip of it, and he goes like, when you listen to R&B, are you going like, this is really horny, all of this is really, it's like, it's writing about love and sex, and you know, like, so there's different music styles for different emotions.
Exactly.
On that, and you saying how you always finding it, what part of you do you feel and express when creating?
It's a very, very good question, Mo. Most recently, from like the space I've been in my life, I've been like in a very sincere and intimate and honest place in my life. I think one of the most honest and sincere ones. So when I am making, I'm making from a point of just pure vulnerability. You know, that's why it's so important for my studio to be at home. It's so important for me to make in the space that I feel the safest. It's so important for me to be able to paint at whatever time I choose. It's because it's become a very intimate thing to me, you know. So it's like this combination of like self-therapizing, self-expressing, self-nurturing, healing. I no longer like making from anger. You know?
Really, was that like your original stem?
Yeah, chaos. It used to be chaos, anger, and just as much energy all over the place as we can find, you know. And it's really hard to refine that into an intention, you know, because you don't really know what's driving you. You don't know if you're making this from trauma. You don't know if you're making it from pain or anger, or how it's going to be received by people. Now I'm so aware that I have this talent, and that it's actually a talent of storytelling. It's how I want to tell the story of my emotions. Right now I'm talking about how it feels to be somebody who has an Afrikaans and Zimbabwean heritage.
God, such a contrast.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm talking about the duality of my life in the South African context, you know, through my work, through this thing that I've learned is my voice. You know, like if I was a musician, now I'd be in this phase where I'm talking about my origin story and coming to understand my identity without like having people tell me who I need to be. I'm like, no, I am already who I am. And this is what my identity is. I don't need anybody to tell me how to be African, how to be Afrikaans, how to be black, how to be colored, how to be who I am, you know. So I think a lot of the work is just coming from such a sincere place now, and I can tell that my audience feels that, my collectors feel that, my gallerists feel that, and it's super
Yeah.
dope.
It gives. I was showing Jess when we we're at the airport now.
Yeah,
A lot of your art, especially on your Instagram,
yeah,
which I know is not everything.
yeah.
And whenever I pay attention to your art and I spend time looking at it, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that like I see a piece and I feel like there's something that I have to study and find it,
Got you.
which is so much fun.
Yeah,
It's not, you know, I know a lot of the time art can be the Mona Lisa, this perfectly depicted, you know, sort of picture, or it can be someone drew a yellow square on a white page and they're like, bang, art,
Yeah.
you know, and both have their place. Yours has such a cool, hidden feeling to it. I don't know if that's what you intend.
yeah,
But every piece, dude, I sit there looking at it and I'm like, I can look at it from this way, from that way,
yeah.
from this way around, from backwards to front, from
Yeah.
feeling. Like I've gone through your pages and stuff, obviously also researching you and
Yeah.
been like, today I'm not in a good mood.
Mm.
And I've gone through and been like, that's fucking sick.
Dope.
Then other days I've been like, it's such a stoked mood. It's a Friday afternoon. I'm
Yeah.
about to go for beers with friends or whatever. And I'm going through it and I'm like, that one makes me feel
Got you.
what I'm about to do, you know,
Yeah.
which is so beautiful
I
about
love
it.
that,
And
yeah.
on you saying reflecting your mental state and how you're feeling into art, we have to talk on the story you mentioned in the car.
Sure.
You finished studying
Yeah.
and then moved over to what was your base was Tampa, Florida,
Yeah.
but you were working on the cruise liners
Yes.
as an art dealer.
Yes.
And while you were doing that, COVID hit
Yeah.
and you were now stuck on the cruise liners.
Yeah.
And you said it took you 165 days to get back home.
Yeah. Fuck.
You're thinking back to it like, yeah, that happened.
Bro. I mean, it's obviously like part of my origin story, man. But every time I think back on it, I'm just like, you know, wow. In the sense of wow, I was hurled as a young kid, as a young man, into a situation like out of bravery. I was like, yo, I'm not making enough money from my art. I've been working as a bartender for like 5 years, 6 years, all through university. Like something needs to give now, you know. So I made like this massive financial and physical and mental investment in this different career path, which would be selling other people's art, helping other people collect work from around the world, and a wonderful way I could still have art in my life but
That's
make
cool.
more money, right? So that happens. That is what it is. COVID hits, and I'm in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean when it hits. So we have to basically then take another 10 days, 7 days to sail back to Tampa, Florida, disembark all our guests, just like 4,000 or 5,000 guests on like one of those mega cruise liners, like 14 floors high, 400 or 500 meters long, like one of those big boys.
Yeah.
And the people operating, I think there were about 3,800 employees. So it's like it's like a little town of people. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
So we were like a whole little community, but we basically get there. We get told you can't fly home, or you can fly home, but it's gonna cost you basically 100,000 rand to catch a flight. Once you leave here, we don't know what's gonna happen to you. You have to risk it. If you want to risk it, go for it. If not, stay here, eat the free food, don't pay rent, and let's see what happens. But we don't know how long this is gonna be. Nobody knows. So I've been like, yo man, I'm not gonna go home now. I'm not gonna spend all the money I just like saved and worked my ass off to save. I'm just gonna ride this out, see what it looks like. I obviously didn't know it would look what it looked like, but yeah. We spent 47 days just static in the port, Tampa, Florida. You know, just same day,
Like
same.
you can see land but aren't allowed to touch it.
Yeah, see land. Our guests are off. Me and the 3,000 employees just chilling, man, and just like drinking, partying, being like, oh, what the fuck's going on? What's gonna happen? We don't know, we don't know, we don't know, nobody knows. Okay, it is what it is. First 2 weeks is fun, 3 weeks it's fun. Now you're like 40 days in, it's like, yo,
This is a bit much now.
yeah, what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
So I think like just before day 50, pretty much got briefed, cool, we're gonna disembark. The entire fleet of ships, which is like another 48 ships, are gonna meet in the, like, let's say, call it the Caribbean islands. And from that point, we're gonna put all the nationalities, all the similar nationalities onto vessels, and we're going to basically take you to your respective countries and drop you off group by group.
So like a giant DHL system.
Pretty much, giant Uber system. So
Wow.
now we do this whole thing. You've got like a fleet of 50 ships all in one massive area, which look beautiful. But now it's the process of getting your shit, jumping into a lifeboat, which I never thought I'd ever have to be in.
Yeah.
Moving on this little lifeboat, like with the water just crashing onto me and shit, to another massive vessel. So they put like the South Africans, the Namibians, the Indians, the Chinese, and the Zimbabweans on one ship. And then they were basically gonna sail from the top there down around Africa and drop each community.
That's effort, eh?
Bro. So, yeah, man, just that whole disembarking process, I think we were on like day 60, day 65, maybe 70. And then just the journey day by day, which took like 2 months to get back to South Africa. We literally sailed past Cape Town and I was like, I could probably swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, I recognize the big flat
Yeah.
mountain.
Yeah. But it was mentally one of the hardest things I'd ever done in my life. Just the uncertainty, the not knowing what's next, what tomorrow's gonna be, what my job security is gonna look like, if my family's okay, if my friends are okay, you know. But during that time, I was so grateful that like I'd ordered a bunch of like art materials off of Amazon just before COVID had happened, because I really wanted to like keep painting or keep sketching.
Okay.
So I had a bunch of stuff, and I just started making this work, which was like, I guess, me using my creativity to like show how my body was just like yearning for like connectivity, you know, like human connection. So we were on the vessels, but we were also like doing quarantining. So we were only allowed out for like, let's call it in between 10 and 11 a.m. in the morning. And
So it's
then
like prison.
yeah, bro, literally. And when you get that hour out, you're just like running on the deck, trying to work out, and then it's like straight back to your room. Otherwise, you come out, get food, go back. It was weird. It was literally prison. Anyway, this whole body of work was about like where my mental health was at the time, you know, and I realized like, okay, shit, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, and I can see this coming out in the work. But then I also realized like, damn, everybody in the world is feeling this right now, you know. And then I just had the spark, and I was like, I've struggled for so long in my like art career to find the common denominator that I want to tie in. You know, I'm somebody who loves to I'm all about accessibility. I love everyone. I want everybody to be involved, whether you're 8 years old, whether you're 45, whether you're 89, whether you're white, black, Norwegian, Zimbabwean, Mozambican, Zambian. I want us to be able to coexist. And that's when I realized that if I make work about the human condition, if I make work about mental health, whether it's the dark side or the light side, if I make work about this thing that we all go through, no matter class, creed, or nationality, then I can speak to everyone in the world, and everyone in the world can feel like they can speak to me. And that was it, bro. That was like when I realized, when it all came together, I was like, okay, cool. That entire body of work I ended selling out in my first show that I had in Cape Town.
Well done, yeah.
You know, which was insane. I like was crashing at my friend's place, my mentor actually, and I was working on this painting. Well, I put up the painting that I had under my bed on the ship, and one of my mentor's friends came through and was like, what the hell is that? How much is it? I want it. And I
Really?
like sold my first 20K painting like the week after I got back from this entire crazy shit. So it was just like crazy.
Like purpose for it.
100%, bro.
Yeah.
And I was like riddled with so much PTSD for like months after that because I just gone through this thing that I didn't have the vocabulary to explain. And like, granted, I think we all did. You know, I still think
everyone was like, "What just happened?"
yeah, and you kind of still see that in a lot of people. I don't think we will ever really get back to it, but I think the beauty of where we are now as a society is like how we've normalized checking in, how we've normalized mental health, how we've normalized just these conversations of well-being. You know, you see a larger focus now on people wanting to be healthy, not just physically but emotionally. Men are going to therapy. Everyone's going to therapy. Therapy isn't this weird thing to do anymore. So you see the world kind of in that, also being aware of how reliant, how much we need art and culture in our lives for that well-being. So it was like a lot of darkness that resulted in a lot of light, bro.
That's cool, eh?
Yeah, man.
It's awesome to get to use it
Yeah.
and utilize it for something that now is touching so many lives.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, we started Storytime in the middle of COVID because I couldn't act and couldn't get on set. So this was my medium of like, I still need to be able to talk to people and hear from people and learn from people. And like, the people I've spoken with on the show have fueled so many of the different ideas I've had for film and for characters and for everything else in my life. So it's been such a cool duality of the dark and the light, like you say.
Definitely, bro.
That you came out of that and now your career's taking off in terms of you now officially selling high-priced art.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did a collaboration, I have to ask on this because I've seen it and it blows my mind. You did a collaboration with Mercedes Benz where you painted and designed and sketched out an entire car.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. Yo, man, I don't even know where to start with that one. It was like, it's something that fell into my lap like 2 weeks after moving to Johannesburg. So what happened was it coincided with this other amazing project I did for Relay Jeans, where I did like a bunch of jeans and we auctioned off those jeans that I painted on to the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. And then a week after that I had the Mercedes thing. So it was just like the first month of being in Joburg, just like bam, bam, bam. But yeah, man, they reached out to me and were basically like, yo, we want you to do what you do on a 1 million rand canvas. And I was like, I was like, yeah, sure, I do it all the time. What? Yeah. When do you need me? I'll be there.
But at the same time, you're also kind of like trying to get yourself in the door and be like, no, of course, man.
Bro.
Of course I'll paint on 1 million,
Bro,
you know?
I did not even know where to begin. This is what I love about what I do, because you have to start somewhere, you know? And if you don't start somewhere and if you don't like challenge yourself to be uncomfortable, you'll never grow. You know, let's say for instance, I'm not a graffiti writer or in any way do I call myself like a graffiti artist. But I took it upon myself to learn how to use spray paint, you know, just because I was like, well, I love painting, I love color, I need to find something that can allow me to work quickly, to work in as big as I can, and like something that can basically move at the speed of my imagination.
Yes.
So for like maybe 2 years, a year and a half before Mercedes hit me up, was I like learning spray, learning from some friends and doing some stuff here and there. And then they were like, come paint this 1 million rand car, we love what you do. I was like, in my mind I was like, there's so many other people that can do this for you.
That like imposter syndrome,
exactly,
right?
bro. And I was like, you know what, Farai, this is destiny. Like, this is what you were made to do. You have such a beautiful and unique and authentic story and visual language. that of course Mercedes Benz want to work with you and nobody else. You actually need to step up to the plate and know that you deserve this.
Just view it from the other side.
Boom.
Hmm.
So as I get there, I'm like, okay, cool. Let me come see the car. Make sure they fucking put masking tape on all the expensive shit so I don't get paint on the shit and then you complain. Please lay down as much plastic around the vehicle as possible. Give me as much air and room that I need.
Yeah.
Cool. Literally the day before the event, I go there, I look at this car. I haven't sketched the thing out. I haven't planned a fucking thing. Because how do you? Like,
I was about to say, where do you start with
I can't do like a little sketch on a piece of paper and be like, cool, we're going to wrap this, do that. I wasn't even using an iPad at the time. I was just like, I'm going to freestyle. I'm going to freestyle this thing. So I get there, meet all the bosses, the big people, the agency directors, whatever. And I'm like in this room with like all these big dogs. And they're like, oh, when are you going to start? I'm like, I'm going to start right now.
Yeah. Where's your design?
Yeah.
In here?
Yeah, it's in here. I'm going to start right now. So what I did was I spent like 2 hours just doing like a sketch around the entire vehicle to map it out.
Okay.
You know? And I just did that off the dome, bro. I was just like this, that. 2 hours, bunch of people watching me, a videographer at the time, because the following day was the massive event, like 850 people there, media, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, you're doing this live?
Yeah, bro, live.
So this isn't like, oh, I made a mistake, let me just quickly erase.
No, live, bro. They're like, you need to come and paint for our event where there's pretty much going to be 1,000 people there watching you paint alongside other amazing, talented people doing dope shit. But yeah, don't fuck it up. It's like, got you.
There you go.
So did the sketch, arrived the next day, and just spent those 48 hours like hands shaking and trembling, but just like doing it, you know, still being like in the back of my mind, holy shit, why on earth would they trust me to do this? Yeah. Don't fuck it up, Farai. Yeah. But it's crazy how like, I don't want to say the fear of messing up, but the potential to rise to an opportunity will drive you. You know what I mean? I was like, in the back of my mind, I had that voice being like, yo, don't F it up. But in the other side, I was like, yo, think of the reverberations of this as a success. You know, think of like the kids, your peers, any person that associates your name with what you're about to do. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to that voice. Yeah. So I spent another, I'd call it 5 hours painting live at that event, probably from about 5:30 to about 11. Wrapped the car up at 11 o'clock, signed it off, and I was out. I did it. Done. So it was a 2-day project, probably about 10 hours of total painting. Most of it live. All of it live. Nothing.
Yeah, other than your layout.
Yeah. Like everything was live. The car was parked in the VIP showroom in Santon from the moment I sprayed the first sketch design on till the moment it got taken out of there. So everything happened.
You worked with spray paint as the medium?
Yeah.
And then what, like layered something over the top that would stop?
Yeah, we pretty much just sprayed this thing with like an intense UV and waterproofing sealant.
Okay.
So I came back to do that in the parking lot, but that was it. It was all also just me. They were like, yo, what do we need to do to the car to make it waterproof? I was like, I don't know. Like,
I've never had to waterproof things.
Yeah, I've never had to waterproof a car. So I'm just like learning also now about research and also not saying to somebody who wants or asks you to do something that you don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Going out, doing the research, finding out the information, forcing yourself to know and coming back with the fucking resolution to the problem. Yeah. You know, so that as a project taught me so much just about being resourceful, thinking quick on your feet, also faking it until you make it, and like not allowing the imposter syndrome to stop you from rising to the occasion.
I think sometimes we misplace fake it till you make it as lie.
Yeah.
Or like attempt to deceive.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, damn, sometimes you need that's somewhere, I guess, but try not to. It's
Yeah,
more
for
so we'll just find the answer. I don't know
Yeah.
right now, but in an hour I can.
For sure, bro.
And in a day I can know even more. In a month I can know even more. It's just what is my deadline of
Exactly.
having to have the answer for
Exactly.
you, you know?
Exactly.
Damn, dude, what a story.
Dude,
Getting
it
to
was-
do a car,
Yeah,
eh?
bro, it was wild.
Next is a plane.
Yeah. Or a helicopter.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, helicopter I think is sooner than later. But yeah, man, just anything.
Before we get into, because we're going to do a live sort of demonstration
Yes, sir.
of you taking the white t-shirt and going to town and
Yeah,
doing whatever
bro.
you want. Also,
Yeah.
I need to give you a gift.
Yes.
So let me give you your gift, because I wanted to ask about working with Heineken
Yeah.
and also designing for Akon
Yes.
and doing mural for Akon.
Yes.
So let's talk through those two
Dope.
while I give you a gift,
Let's do it.
and then we'll get into your art.
Dope, bro. Yeah, so first and foremost, RIP Costa Titch, that was wild, but yeah, man, they shout out to the good people.
There you go.
Shout out to the good
There's your gift from Stance.
people. Yeah.
They just say thank you so much for being here.
Thanks to our sponsors at Stance for making this come to life.
There we go.
I love you guys. I can't wait to see this.
They are a massive, massive fan of yours. I'm sure there's going to be a collaboration coming very soon
Yo,
between
I'm
you
trying
and
to
them.
make my own socks, guys.
Really?
Yeah. Hit me up.
Now you've got the people.
Exactly. I painted a Mercedes. I'm sure I can do
Sure you
something
can do
dope on
socks.
some socks. Hey?
Let's do it. Stance, if we create a Stance X Samurai Farai collaboration in socks, I will be at the front of the queue to buy those.
You heard it here first, guys.
Plus, I have a lot of friends that would do exactly the
You
same.
heard it here first.
Let's get that going. I'm super in on that. I mean, I'm even wearing, like, I live in Stance socks, dude. Genuinely, I'm not just saying that for
No,
them.
bro,
I've got
I
so
won't
many
lie.
pairs in my drawer.
There's like one specific pair that it's the short one,
Yes.
and it's like my gym sock. It's the only one I feel like I run fastest in those socks. I won't even lie. I'm not even getting paid to say this, but it's the
Yeah,
truth.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
the
you
truth.
don't have to say anything.
No.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, no, great brand. Love you guys lots. Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry, continue. I cut you off.
So Costa Titch and Akon they released this amazing song that was going viral all over the world, and a director who was familiar with my work was like, "Yo, we'd love to bring you on board to like do something for this," and yeah, that was the year after Mercedes. So not last year, the year before. Time's flying, but they were pretty much just like, yo, the mural needs to be like 8 meters wide, 6 meters high, and we don't really know what it needs to look like. We just want you to come do your thing. And I was like, well, way to give a young homie some direction. Yeah, like,
Thanks for the
got you.
attention to detail.
I'll
Yeah.
fulfill this brief.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I've always really enjoyed the idea of how South Africa as a nation is always being redefined by its constituents. And what I mean by that is the people in South Africa are what makes South Africa great, right? But those people are constantly changing. You know, like similar of like with the conversation that we've had about mental health and the layers that we find ourselves having and the different senses or identities that one person can have. South Africa has had multiple identities in its history, right? And will continue to. But what's so beautiful is that the way, whilst we change South Africa alongside us. So I pretty much decided to paint my version of the South African flag, which ended up being a collection of like, I think I counted like 382 portraits, like line drawings. So I pretty much like created the format of the flag with like a stencil, used a massive projector, did the stencil out so I knew, okay, red here, yellow here, black here, and then I did like a crazy grid format and did like almost 400 line drawing portraits in the colors that made the South African flag up. So in the video, you see the flag, but in the close-ups, you see that it's actually portraits of people, of us, of you and me.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. So it was like one of my most enjoyable projects, which I feel like I killed it from a conceptual standpoint, because I was like, this means something to me, and I want everybody who sees it to get that same feeling, and it went off, bro.
Where is it?
So we did it in a studio in Johannesburg, and it's been painted over long ago, bro. Long ago. All we have is photos now and the video, of course. Yeah. And it was like 4 days of painting.
What?
4 days of painting.
Was that the understood agreement that like this is not going to be there anymore? It kind of gives it its own really cool, mysterious story to it.
Yeah.
On one angle, the other angle, I'm like, remove the wall and put it somewhere, and then build a new wall. You know?
Yeah, and it was like on an infinity curve. I was using like a 10-meter high ladder, and I was just like doing it by myself, bro. And it was, yeah, man. It was like one of the first projects also that I was doing sober.
Really?
Yeah, which is also like a big part of my story time. But it was like, yeah, the biggest project with one of the biggest artists in the world, and I was like doing it sober, which was a massive thing for me.
Wow.
Sobriety's been a very overarching like facet of the past 2 years of my life.
So you've been sober for 2 years now?
Yeah.
Jeez, congrats.
Thank you, bro.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if I was gonna bring it up because of any of your
Dude.
above whatever, but
Do your thing.
Yeah,
Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah. It's been it just goes hand in hand with my journey on my mental health
For sure.
adventure, and something that I talk to people about. I think people with struggle with depression and anxiety and substance addictions. It's important to normalize the conversation. It's important to bring it up, because a lot of the time people feel that they can't. I think we all know 1 or 2 people who struggle.
For sure.
So it's just important.
sure,
bro.
yeah.
There's no shame in it.
Yeah.
Especially as an artist, I know that it's such a prevalent thing. Like
It is from both sides, right?
Yeah.
Substance abuse as well as sobriety
Exactly.
play such crucial roles in so many different art forms.
100%.
We had a conversation yesterday with a friend in New York with Panda. We spoke with him about it and said to him, like, he was saying he wants to do a period of sobriety that he's actually wanting to attempt as a learning curve to see whether it's something he could apply to the rest of his life.
Dope.
We've done months of sobriety. Every year we do 3 or 4 months, and then whenever I'm filming for a project, I don't like drinking or anything during filming, because I don't like the switch off when I'm in that space.
Yeah.
And then literally yesterday, I was saying to Jess, I was like, okay, I need a little bit of sobriety time now as well.
Gotcha.
Saturday I drank way too much.
Gotcha.
So yeah, for me it's always been very up and down, but what I am aware of, and it took me a long time to be aware of it, alcohol was always the thing for me that I was like, what's a couple drinks kind of thing, and again, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I love the social,
Definitely.
connected, I've built so many memories and so many friendships around margaritas or a couple beers or a bottle of wine or like
100%.
but I also am very aware of the fact that my anxiety takes a huge hit after a weekend of drinking. My outlook on life, my positivity, my willingness and enthusiasm to do something is so much lower. I almost have to force myself to want to do the things that I usually love doing, and that's quite a knock. And it takes you 2-3 days to recover, and then Friday comes around again and you're like, ah! And then you go back at it again. So it's nice to break the cycle, but your 2 years, is that like not even weed or anything?
Nothing, bro.
Jeez, dude, well done.
Yeah.
Well done,
Fucking,
dude.
I'm clean as a whistle.
Yeah, there you go, dude. Now you're like, pull me over and test me.
Oh man, I got breathalyzed a few weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like coming home from the gym. He's like, just breathe here now. I'm like,
You're like,
yes, officer.
happily.
Anything, officer. But yeah, man, I think just what you're saying, the mindfulness or the awareness, I should say, of how you feel when you're on and when you're off, you know, your relationship to alcohol, I think, is more what I kind of want people to interrogate
Yes.
within themselves. I'm not like here to bash you and say sobriety is the way, because we're all different. We all have, there's many ways to like climb the mountain, but I think you start by asking yourself, how do I feel when I don't do something? How do I feel when I do something? It could be gambling, bro. It could be cigarettes. It could be food. You could know that you have a crazy junk food habit, and maybe you want to change that. I think there's a massive shift in the world, and I see a lot of younger people as well going on this journey of like, who am I outside of X, Y, or Z? You know what I mean? And when you start with what you find yourself addicted to, could be vape. Vape is the one thing I know I still do way too much of. When you take that thing out of your life, you allow evolution to occur.
Exactly.
Right?
It's giving purpose to a change.
Exactly.
So if you can stay conscious enough and aware enough that everything you feel or every alteration that you see in yourself, physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever, if you can record them and you can have actual self-improvement data in front of you, and you can go, oh, there's a purpose in that. When I stop vaping, this and this changes. Now you can make the call, and now you can go, okay, so there is proof in it. It's not just this like supposed idea we have of like what health is, you know, like you say, different people are different,
Bro,
you know, like look at like Keith Richards and them.
100%.
Still alive.
Bro,
Keith Richards is alive, right?
Going hard. I don't know.
And like those homies been sending it for years, and they're still kicking.
But also in my field, right, of artists, of musicians, of actors, even, you know, you've got the 27 Club for a reason, and I had like a very crazy situation which like got me into hospital, and I just had to ask myself, like, if I keep going down this path, I can clearly and visibly see the results. Do you have the fucking balls to say, I want to see what you look like going the other way, you know? And also this typecast of artists being self-destructive and self-abusive.
We could talk on that forever.
Bro.
I literally had the conversation at the dinner table on Saturday, ironically over a lot of beers, but had the conversation on Saturday, and I am interrupting you, but
please,
this is leading. We were talking within acting, there's always the conversations of method and method acting, and how it's this like, there's this like esoteric idea to it, which it has a place, and it's a beautiful art form almost when done in a beautiful way. But there's also that of like the tormented artist, and like, to be honest, I thought that was the coolest thing growing up.
Such a facade.
It was this like, the mysterious like haunted guy that like uses his emotion to create art, and I get what you're saying.
Yeah, man. Like for me, I think Heath Ledger.
Oh,
you know,
what a
and
beautiful
like,
human.
Bro, honestly, the GOAT. And unfortunately, we see where that ended. But yeah, man, I was just like, yo, like I said earlier, I was like making work from such a chaotic place. I used to like need to like have 6 to 7 beers in me, a few joints, like be quite like roasted before I can like start painting, you know, and it would always have to be a vibe in the studio, with friends in the studio, for me to start making work. And it just, there was no connection between me and what I was doing. It was just like chaos. Until the point in my life was just chaos, and I was like, kind of just wanna be chilled, you know, and still show the world that I have a talent, but my talent isn't fueled by my addictions. Like, because if that's the case, then I'm just gonna like essentially kill myself for the world to bear witness, and then like what's the use of that, you know? And now I get to show the world that you can you can be an amazing and profound creative genius without needing to self-destruct and self-sabotage.
I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah.
And it's something that like I'll give you massive credit for. Following you obviously very closely since the beginning of the year, you post a lot about the way you eat, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you train, the way you create. It's awesome.
Thank you.
There's I think back to like when I was younger and like the people that I was inspired by, like Heath Ledger, and I still am and I always will be.
For sure.
But there wasn't this version at that time. There wasn't the version of health and wellness, but also being the out-the-box, weird, creative guy. It was very difficult to find that.
Yeah.
Maybe there was, it was just more rare, and it wasn't being highlighted because it wasn't the cool story.
Exactly.
Now it is.
Yeah.
So thank you for putting that forward, and thank you for speaking about your sobriety.
Dude,
I appreciate you opening up about that. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man, it's
Yeah,
rad.
this
I
is
love
sick,
it.
man.
It's
Yeah,
a
thank
vibe.
you.
It's a vibe.
Let's get you set up here.
Yeah, man.
And let you do your thing. Thank you for sitting and having the conversation.
Bro, it's been super rad.
Let's do this, dude. I'm so pumped to see this.